Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to RobMotive. So I've been thinking lately, do I have any regrets going from the SR5 Toyota Tacoma that I had, I believe it was a 2022, to the TRD Off-road 2023? You know, first of all, I would say no with an asterisk. Obviously, I had to spend more money to get the TRD Off-road. The SR5 was cheaper. But other than that, there are a few things that I really do like about this truck that I'm glad I went with it versus the SR5. First of all, let's take a look inside. We have the touch entry. That's pretty cool. I dig that. In other words, keyless entry. Once we're inside the truck, I have this, the engine start stop button. Now, that's different than the auto stop for sure, but it means I can just obviously push the button to start the truck. Love that feature. I don't have to stick a key in there anymore, anything like that, nor do I have that key stabbing me in the thigh while I'm carrying it around in my pocket. Next up has to do with the windows. Go ahead and put that down. The SR5 had auto down windows just like that. However, it had hold up windows. In other words, you had to hold on to the button to put the windows up. I don't have that in this 2023 TRD Off-road Tacoma. I just pull it up and it goes up by itself. Now, that may seem like a pretty petty, simple feature, right? But I love it. I love not having to screw around. I must put my windows up and down a lot because it's very handy to me and I think it's awesome. Next up on the inside, of course, I have this button here. The two-wheel drive, four-wheel low button. Of course, it's a four-wheel drive truck. It's a TRD Off-road, right? Now, I go back and forth on four-wheel drive. I've had two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive off and on for quite a long time as I've owned Tacomas. You know, the big saying out there, I suppose, is that it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Well, I'd say that's true. In my case, it's probably more like the never gonna need it. I live in South Texas. We don't get snow and ice and junk like that. I'm not a big time off-roader. And, you know, off-roading, I think there's a false belief out there that if you like to go off-roading, you must have a 4x4. That's not true. You simply need to know what kind of conditions you can go in. And honestly, how many of us that do go off-road actually go into areas that are severe enough that you would really need the 4x4? You're probably gotten into something that you shouldn't have gotten into to begin with. Still, if you need it, better to have it, right? The beach is another example. You know, I'm probably more likely to go to the beach, calling that off-road, in the sand, than I am anywhere else around here because that's what's available to me. Again, if you're on the beach, you should stay out of the really thick, powdery stuff so that you get bogged down. 4x4 may not get you out of that either, depending on how deep you dig yourself, and you might dig all four wheels down. Who knows? Still, it's an option I have in the off-road that I didn't have in the SR5, and a piece of me feels a little bit more at ease or comfortable having it in the truck, I guess. Next up, let's talk about what's up here. We've got crawl control. Crawl control. I don't know. I've seen it in action. I have experienced it myself. You know, a while back when it first came out, I went to look at a truck and it had crawl control in it. And the sales guy demonstrated it for me on pavement. There was a little bit of loose gravel, I guess, but man, all it did was jerk, 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 jerk. That's kind of how it works, right? It's like intervals of power delivered to the wheels, the tires, to get you out of wherever you are. A very handy feature if, again, you get into something that you probably shouldn't be in to begin with, but something that I will probably never use unless I get into the sand. If I ever get out to the beach, I may just demonstrate it out there so you guys can see what it does, or I can see what it does in my own truck. But again, I have experienced it before. Next up, multi-terrain, the multi-terrain selector. You know, down here in South Texas, deep South Texas, we're in a valley. It's the Rio Grande Valley. It's flat. there's not a lot of different terrain. I mean, you're not traveling dirt roads unless you go off-road. You're not on the beach unless you go to the beach. And that's about it. You're not in different elevations and gravel and stuff like that, or roads that are really not too great unless you really go rural. It's something else that I paid for in this truck that I'm probably never going to use. Again, one of those things that better to have if you need it than need it and you don't, but not something that I'm probably going to do anything with. Lastly, let's talk about color. You know, when I first saw this electric lime green metallic, I wasn't a big fan of it. I saw it in pictures and I thought, man, that looks like some sort of city truck or something. You know, the bright lime green colors so that people can see it, kind of like the vests that you see city workers and people wearing so that they're more visible, right? That was my first impression of this color on this truck. However, when I went to the dealership, this thing was sitting there all shined up, kind of like it is right now. It's actually clean at the moment. And I loved it. I could not believe how good looking this color was on the Toyota Tacoma, glistening out there in the sunlight. And it's the same now. I don't have any regrets. The last truck that I had was magnetic gray metallic. I like that color, but it was not as flashy as what this is, right? I mean, when you see this truck coming down the road, it catches your eye. You're never going to mistake seeing it. And with the black highlights and things on it, I've blacked out the taillights, went with kind of a camo. I think the sun is really catching that well right now. Went with a camo theme on the Tacoma badging. Love the way that that looks. Check that out. I hope it's coming through well on the camera because that is pretty awesome. Reflective at night too. You can get that at Tough Skins, by the way, if you're interested. There is a discount code down below. But it looks really good with the black accenting. You know, the black fenders, the black mirrors. I did switch those out. It did have the electric lime mirrors as well, the covers or caps. I went with Toyota's black. I think that looks really good on the truck. And then, of course, the grill work as well. It's blacked out. So it really is kind of a blacked out theme with the electric lime background, if you will. We've also got the vent visors on there, or the vent covers, whatever you want to call them. I love it. I think it's pretty cool. Not a big fan of the roll bar that I've got on there, the sport bar, but it's growing on me. We shall see. So as far as the electric lime goes, I do like that better as well. I think for the channel particularly, it needs to be something that pops, something that draws attention. I mean, let's be honest. We YouTubers are attention hounds, right? And that truck certainly fits the bill. So I don't really have any regrets doing this. I wish maybe the money would have been a little bit closer between the SR5 and the off-road, but hey, you get more stuff, whether you need it or not. Leave a comment. If you've gone from one trim level to the other, were you happy that you did it, or in the end, you probably should have just kept what you had and saved the money? I'd be curious to know. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.